The first round of the coronavirus food assistance program has wrapped up. Here to talk about it with us is Dr. Amy Hagerman, our ag policy specialist. Amy, let's just kind of start with a general status report.
So the September 11th was the last day for producers to sign up for what we call CFAP 1, the first round of the coronavirus food assistance program, which is actually funded out of the CARES Act from April, along with a lot of other initiatives like PPP that people may be familiar with. We had a lot of agricultural producers in the state sign up for this. Nationally, almost $10 billion of money went out between May and September on this program, and that's a huge achievement. We had about $375 million come here to Oklahoma, and the vast majority of that went to our cattle producers in the state, especially some of our stocker producers who had some really deep losses, as Daryl Peel has talked about, associated with the market downturns from this program. So first round kind of wrapped up, but we didn't spend the full $16.5 billion that the CARES Act allocated to this program, which has kind of led us to the events of the last week with the announcement of CFAP 2.
So now we get organized for round 2, and it doesn't look quite the same.
It actually looks very different. So for anyone who's coming in thinking that they kind of understand how it's going to work based on CFAP 1, they changed a lot in CFAP 2. The first thing for our producers here in Oklahoma is they really opened up the list of commodities that can apply for this CFAP money in this second round. This includes different kinds of crops that didn't meet those price criteria that were necessary for CFAP 1. This means our winter wheat producers are now eligible. It also means some of our crops that just don't have the kind of price data to calculate that price trigger will be eligible as well, like our sesame producers, hemp producers. Alfalfa is eligible this time around, although other kind of grazing crops are not, other kinds of hay crops are not. There's also some restrictions in other areas. So for our cattle producers who received both a sales-based payment and then an inventory-based payment this last round in CFAP 1, this time breeding stock is not eligible for CFAP 2. So anyone who received their $33 per head on their cows in their cow-calf herd or on their ewes in their sheep herd are not eligible for another payment under CFAP 2. However, any kind of younger stock that was sold during that April 16th through the end of August will be eligible for an additional payment.
How do people who may be eligible get organized and possibly get started for this next round?
Absolutely. The first thing is going to be talking to your FSA office to make sure you have all the reports on file, especially for our crop producers. So for the crops that have that price trigger payment still, it's going to be based on their 2020 crop report that they filed with FSA. So they're not going to self-report their planted acres. That's going to come directly from within the FSA system. The other kind of important piece there is they're going to use their actual yield that they've reported to FSA as well. So those two pieces of information have to already be on file with FSA. And while they're at the office, they need to check on their PLC yield update because the deadline for that is September 30th, and it looks like PLC is going to do pretty well in the 2020 crop year. For our livestock producers, it's self-reported inventory. So they just need to make sure they have a handle on how many cattle or other kinds of livestock they have that are eligible, and then have that inventory prepared to do that self-reporting to USDA.
What other types of programs should we be keeping in mind in terms of big picture? There's a lot of dates to remember and things to keep organized.
Fall is always a busy season in terms of dates and in terms of policy updates. As we come up on the end of September, that is of course the end of the fiscal year. We're watching that continuing resolution to see if there's additional funds that will be put into the CCC, which is that pot of funds that CFAP is paid out of, as well as ARC and PLC. And of course, this change in the Farm Bill means that ARC and PLC re-election can begin October 1. So producers just have a lot to juggle right now. You've got CFAP that's eligible. They can sign up between September 21 and December 11. You've got the Arkin PLC re-election for our crop producers that starts October 1. You've got the PLC yield update that's September 30th, and we still have WIP Plus eligibility sign up out there as well.
So lots of dates on the calendar, but you and the team are helping folks sort it out. You have a webinar coming up soon for the CFAP portion.
We do. For CFAP 2, we have a webinar coming up. That's where we'll go into those payment details, the eligibility details. And USDA has a decision tool online that people can use to get an estimate of their payment. Again, those actual numbers for crop producers are coming from the reports they've already put in. But the tool will give them an estimate of what their payment would be, and we'll be walking people through that decision tool as well.
Great. Okay, Amy, thanks a lot. And for a link to the webinar information, just go to sunup.okstate.edu.